So in the book, The Witches by Roald Dahl, he describes witches as being these hideous creatures that wear rash-inducing wigs, they have claws for hands, and they have absolutely no toes whatsoever, and that their main goal is to hunt down and rid the world of children. Now, I'm no witch expert, but that reminds me of someone.
You know, for me, I think every fat child lives in the shadow of a fat parent.
Grandma was a tough lady with a big heart. And little by little, she brought me out of my sadness.
Now if you feel that you can't go on, darling,
I didn't know it, but there was a dark shadow looming nearby.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Luke's Reviews, and on today's video I will be reviewing a new movie that is available to purchase on demand over here in the UK and is available on HBO Max over in the States, and it is a remake of a beloved Roald Dahl children's classic, The Witches. We meet a young unnamed protagonist who is left orphaned and sent to live with his grandmother. Under her care, he soon begins to learn the truth that witches are real and they have one goal: to hunt down all the children in the world. Our young hero and his grandmother travel to stay in a very fancy hotel, but upon arrival, they quickly realise that they have stumbled into a convention of witches led by the Grand High Witch. Holding up my hands right now, The Witches was always my least favourite Roald Dahl novel. I was much more of a BFG, Fantastic Mr. Fox, or George's Marvellous Medicine kind of guy. I never really connected all that much with the witches, partially because the main character was called Luke, and I didn't take too kindly to someone called Luke being chased around by creepy witches the entire time. And I kind of have a similar view of the 1990 original movie starring Angelica Houston, who is sensational in the film. She is hands down the best thing of that, alongside Jim Henson's incredible animatronics and puppetry, but it just really wasn't my cup of tea. Nevertheless, I had begun to hear rumblings of Hollywood looking to remake this film. Robert Zemeckis was attached to write and direct. Guillermo del Toro was apparently one of the people that signed on to be in charge of the story. You had stars such as Anne Hathaway, Octavia Spencer, and Stanley Tucci all signing on. Like, what could go wrong? Look, if you take a peek online, the general reception for this film is not exactly glowing. However, I don't actually think it's the train wreck that some people have made it out to be. That being said, it's still not very good. I've now come to the understanding that Robert Zemeckis comes in two packages. Either you get the genius filmmaker behind some of my favourite films like Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or you get the less than impressive package in which he ends up creating films like The Polar Express, last year's Welcome to Marwen, and now The Witches. Despite not being overly enamoured by the source material, the 1990 original had a lot of technical accomplishments that I really appreciated. Like I said, the Jim Henson animatronic and puppetry work is outstanding. Like, that is nightmarish in and of itself. And also the makeup and prosthetic work is fantastic to transform, quite clearly, the stunning Angelica Houston into the most grotesque thing imaginable. But the issue of The Witches always comes down to the story. I've never been engaged with this story. You've got a boy that goes to his grandmother drops a bombshell that witches are real when they want to kill him, and then they go to a hotel and there's a bunch of witches. And despite all of the incredible talent that this film has both in front and behind the camera, there is absolutely no creative spark anywhere to be seen. It's a surprisingly dull affair, and Zemeckis doesn't do much to liven it up. I mean, in fact, you wouldn't know that this was Zemeckis directing at all. Yes, he's busy playing around with unnecessary technology and visual effects that stick out like a sore thumb, but he doesn't really add anything to the film. He doesn't add anything juicy or try to spice things up, which then begs the question that if you're not really going to change much, why remake it in the first place? The performances are a bit of a mixed bag. Thankfully, Octavia Spencer is a ray of sunshine no matter what she stars in, and I actually preferred the take on the grandmother and her grandson's relationship in this film over the 1990 original. Her grandson, played by Josip Bruno, is fine, even if the writers forgot to give his character a name, even though Luke is like right there. It's the name of the main character in the book. I don't understand why you didn't give him a name. Stanley Tucci is just wasted potential in this. He's better than this material too. And Anne Hathaway. Okay, look, you were never going to be able to top Angelica Houston's performance because it is incredible. So, admittedly, and to her defense, she does something very different. I just didn't think that it really worked for me because she's putting on an incredibly thick Swedish accent and she's overacting like crazy, and it is outrageous as hell and incredibly cartoonish, but she just sounds like a demented Swedish chef. There is a level of heart to it that I did appreciate, and there are some elements that this film sticks closely to the book, whereas the 1990 film kind of strayed away a little bit. Fans of the book may appreciate that, although, again, I don't think that they're going to like other elements of the film. By no means is this the travesty that some have slapped across it. Robert Zemeckis' The Witch just mostly feels like a missed opportunity. Considering that Roald Dahl is renowned for his wondrous and seemingly boundless imagination, this was severely lacking in creativity and just a general excuse of existence. So overall, I'm going to give the 2020 remake of The Witches a 4.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on The Witches. Let me know, have you seen it and what did you think? And my question to you, what Roald Dahl book would you like to see adapted next? Me personally, I would go for the criminally underrated The Twits. I think it would be really cool to see that on the big screen. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, please make sure that you click that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All the links to my social media accounts, my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and my letterbox are all in the description below. And if you haven't liked the video, what are you still doing here?